Pleasure to meet you, Syleena. Thank you so much for meeting us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Always excited to meet legends. Before you got into the room, and the thing is, you know, when you're a celebrity, you probably meet people and they say, oh, they'll say things that are, oh, you're a legend, you're this or you're that, but I'm not that girl. But in terms of your vocal ability, it's
amazing,
a class of its own.
Thank
So I'm honoured. We're music girls, both of us. So that's why it's like, oh my God, we get to meet. You know, you've done, well, let's start with Hit On Me. That track here in the UK is one of the biggest tracks. We've got a scene called the Street Sound scene, and that song comes on and they'll bang on the walls, they'll stamp on the floors, they'll get bottles, and seriously, the reaction.
It's big.
It's a big hit here on our scene in particular as well. So, and for me, the soul that you sang that song with resonated with so many souls. So that's why it gets that reaction. Even to the end, you're like, wow, 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 wow. Do you know what I mean? So, what inspired that track? If it's not a obvious question, like
Domestic violence.
Yeah.
And an actual domestic violence situation.
Right.
So, and I've told this story a long time, but that was a long time ago, so I can tell it again and it'll be new. Because that's how long I've been doing it. But a friend of mine, we were young, we were like in college, and my roommate's cousin, she was like early 20s. So to us, that was older. You know what I'm saying? Because we were like 19, 18. We were in college. And I remember we were home during the summer and we were just having a random conversation about guys and stuff like that. And we were talking about, she started telling us about guys and how she was with this one guy and how he was physically abusive.
Right.
And, you know, I would never forget this story because this visual of it kind of stuck in my head, and I'm not sure if it was before or after I saw the Tina Turner movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? But she explained to me that she was done. Her breaking point was when he dragged her down the hallway and her kids saw.
Right.
And that's where the tagline, and I'd rather die falling my kids see. So that comes from that actual conversation.
Right.
And then not to mention, you know, I've been in relationships that were physically and mentally abusive. I was the domestic violence spokesperson when Chapter 1 came out, you know, and I remember going to shelters and talking to domestic violence victims that were hiding from their husbands and boyfriends with their kids in the shelter. And I just remember the way it made me feel. Now that was after the song was created, but it's all a culmination of just black women that I've known, women that have been in my family, and not just black women. I remember when I was a kid, and I know you guys remember this movie. Remember the movie Burning Bed?
Yes.
That was Farrah Fawcett. That was my first experience of seeing and ingesting physical domestic violence through television. I didn't see it in my house as much. I mean, I saw mental abuse between my mother and father because they used to argue all the time. But my father, like they've had fights, you know, where they would be tussling, but which is still actually domestic violence. But in the way that I saw it in that movie, changed my mindset about, like, men do this, like they really,
they do.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God. And then in my first marriage, I dealt with it with my husband, the first husband. So it's just been something that, and my auntie had a gun put to her head, you know, just different women in my life going through it. So for my first album, I just felt that it was very relevant, and I just felt that it was a subject that people had not touched in song. And that album was about the pain, the love, and the forgiveness that I had experienced, and not just personally, but also through the women who have curated these many stories throughout the course of my life.
Right. And you see that? That's why it touches the soul, the energy behind it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, Queen Latifah, I saw her in an interview, and she was like, if it comes from the heart, it goes to the heart.
It does.
And so I've always been very intentional about being as honest as I possibly can in every record, because I know somebody is going to know what this song is talking about. It's going to feel me on this one. So
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that you've also done some amazing features. What would you say is one of your favourite features that you've done?
One of my favorite features,
We'll give it a couple.
Of you, yeah.
okay, this is going to be controversial. So everybody get ready, based on what's going on right now with White Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter. But it's not.
Another song that touches the soul.
There's two. It's Not All Falls Down.
It's not.
That's not my
Okay.
favorite one. My favorite one of him and I is Donda.
Right.
Now, it's not a collaboration necessarily, you know. It kind of is, because it's his album.
Yeah.
But the way that happened, and I went there to sing a hook, you know, just normal run-of-the-mill situation. And I know Kanye's nuts right now. Let's just ignore who he is right now, because next week he gonna be somebody else. I promise. He gonna go away and he gonna come back with something new that's crazy to say next week. So everybody just hold on. But this one, he was normal. This was a moment in time where he was acting right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were in the studio, and I don't know if it's the purity of art that allows people, or allows him, someone like him, to kind of be normal, you know, for that moment. But I remember his mother, and I remember her being the quintessential mom, you know, just as nice as she could possibly be. She was so proud of her son, and just as positive, and she spoke things into me that were positive. So to be called to do anything on that album was an honor to me.
Yes.
Right? And an honor because I know that she's the single most important thing in his life, dead or alive. Right?
Yeah.
So to be called to be a part of something like that was and always will be, regardless how crazy he is, an honor. That could be anybody that I care about or I'm a fan of in music, to call me and ask me to be a part of an album that is named after their mother, who is arguably the reason why we see him deteriorating in front of our eyes.
Yeah, because
Right? The passing of her is where things started to take a turn.
Yeah,
Right? That's when the
absolutely.
Taylor Swift thing started, and then from there it was just getting weird, you know. Now, I'm not him, so I can't be like, that's what it is, but it feels like that to me.
That's when we know
That's what it's given to me. Nonetheless, we were in the studio, and I was singing to a different record, and he was just kind of looking like, you know, because I guess he was really trying to push the envelope on this album. You know, I guess it wasn't enough for me to just just come in there and sing on a hook. You know, one thing he is musically is a genius. And Donda was genius. It was a great album. And he takes risks, and he does things in music that other people do not. Okay, that's great. We already know that. So we're sitting in the studio, and we're talking. And he was talking to just it was only a few of us in there, like the engineer and like two other people, and my sister and him. And he was just like, you know, I want this album to have a healing effect. You know, I wanted to, you know, make people feel good, right? So I said, well, you know, what about your mom's name? I said, your mom's name is, the consonant of it is, it makes you feel like meditation or a mantra. I said, so like a dun, da dun, da dun, da dun, da dun. I said, see, that's like meditative. And the guy next to him said, I almost went into a meditation right there, you just saying it. So he goes, can you lay that down? You know, and then I did it in all these different ways. Dun, da dun, da dun, da dun, just a bunch of different ways. Yeah. Because you do that in the studio. You just do stuff because you know you're going to leave, and you know you give them as much as you can so that they can do whatever they need to do with it. You know, I'm very big on that. I will do what I need I trust you as an artist to bring it out, to make it fit whatever it is that you're doing, right? Some people get mad about that. I don't.
Yeah.
So especially with you know what I'm saying, a Kanye. So when I left, I come home. I didn't know that was going to be the intro of his album. So the reason why it's my favorite, my favorite collaboration, rather, me and Kanye, is because it opened up his entire album. Yeah. That was about his mother, and you could have chosen anyone to say that name, and you chose me. Now, we know he's the fool right now. We know he's acting a fool.
Yeah.
But it could have been anyone in my family that I love. I still love Kanye.
Yes.
Sorry. Just because he's not in alignment and acting a fool, you're not going to stop me from loving him. Okay? So that's good night. I still love him. But he is acting the fool. Let's put that on the record. I do agree with it, and that's it. Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Standing there with Candace Owens is the fool. Yeah. Okay, it don't get no worse. But I do love him, just like I have a cousin that is the fool. Yes. But I love him, my blood cousin, and he's the fool, and I still love him.
Absolutely.
So that to me was the best collaboration. Second best, real quick, E.C. Allure. It was a record that was done with a group called I Am. Right. They are a French group over in France. Right. They're like the Wu-Tang of France, right? Okay. Their name is I Am. This is back in maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, between that time. And I was called in they wanted to do a record with me. And on this particular album, you had Missy Elliott, Busta Rhymes, Beyonce, all of these features on this particular album. And I was one of them, you know, which was an honor, once again, to be in the names of these same artists. But two, they wanted me to write it. And I found, you know, I was like, well, I don't speak the language. I can understand a little bit, but I don't, you trust me to write to something that all the verses are in French. Yeah. So I don't even know what y'all talking about. And you want me to write an American verse to an entire French song. He goes, well, Syleena, it's fine. He tells me what the songs, he tells me what it's about. I'm like, okay. So I go and write this hook. To be young, to be light, to be loved, to be liked. These are the fairy tales of daddy's baby girls. So it was about like girls on the street, you know what I'm saying, that were turning to prostitution and drugs and things of that nature. So that's what he told me. So I wrote the hook to that. And the way it came out was so dope. And I was just very honored. I was just excited about that, you know, that I was able to collaborate my language with an entire another culture and language, and both of us be able to appreciate each other in the same song. Yeah. That was a big deal for me.
Yeah, so. Music is frequency.
It is. It is.
It's our soundtrack of life.
Yes.
So life is all over the place. Yeah. You know, life is all over the place.
Yes.
So, I read somewhere that you were saying that black people come from a state of trauma. And we would go to deal with a broken arm or a broken foot before we would go and deal with mental health. What's your take on that now, and what advice would you give to our audience that's watching in relation to mental health?
Oh, God. And this is, I'll tell you, for my people, therapy, but for all people, therapy. And let's be very clear, racism and slavery was traumatizing, absolutely horrendous over generations to come for our people. But it has also been traumatizing in world history. It is an offense against mankind. It's not just an offense, oh, this people over here. It is an offense against mankind. So I feel like we all suffer from the residue of slavery, you know, and we all need to be in therapy. Therapy is something that all people need to embrace. If we get a stomach ache, we go to the doctor. If we get shot, we go to the doctor. So why is it that when we're not feeling good inside mentally and emotionally, we feel that we can just sweep it under the rug? Well, and now here's the difference. other races, they utilize that outlet of therapy because they understand the power in it. Black people were told to deal with it and suffer because that was how we were forced to live our lives. We were forced to suffer.
Absolutely.
And so what we started to do was adapt to that mindset and then teach our own kids and everybody else that is in our lineage to suffer means to be strong.
Yeah.
And most of the time, Black women carried most of the weight,
Yeah.
because not only, we had to watch our Black husbands and our Black children also deal with the repercussions of society, as well as ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that men don't have to deal with that. Black men do have to deal with that. They have to go out into society and deal with head on the inequalities and, the damage that has been done, and then try to come home and be a whole man for a family. So it's just, it's what we have gone through, and I want people to understand, just of other races, that, in terms of slavery, I know a lot of people there are some people that believe, oh, slavery is over, this is a long time ago.
Oh my gosh.
But you have to, let's look at it from a small point of view. Let's take a woman who has been brutally beaten by her husband.
Yeah.
And then she gets away, but now she has these anger issues, she has anxiety, and guess what she does? He beats her kids. And then guess what that kid does? He beats his kids. And then guess what that kid's, if it never goes unchecked, if it's never worked out, if healing has never happened, and there has been reparation or some kind of, closure from those incidents, what is it going to do? It's just going to keep repeating itself. And that's what good stuff too.
Yeah.
If you have parents that are positive thinkers and they give positivity to their kids are going to grow up that way, and then they're going to teach their kids that way, and then they're going to, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So why is it that ideology is okay and accepting, but when we say that slavery has set us back and that it has taken us down as a people, no, it was that was the past. You're just, that was it.
Yeah.
It's dismissive, isn't it?
It's dismissed.
Very
Yeah.
So absolutely, we need therapy, and we need to deal with these issues. And it's deep because what if your therapist is Black?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do they deal with it? And if your therapist is white, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just very difficult. I mean, at least though, therapy allows you to be in a predicament where you can speak on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You first have to identify it, deal with it, head on, and
Yeah.
then you can begin to heal.
Heal from it.
Yeah.
So speaking of therapy, I always say to Tricia, if I had to go on a reality show, I would need therapy because I wouldn't be able to cope. I'm quite introverted like that, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. But I remember when you was on R&B Divas, loved you on R&B Divas. How did you find that? And do you feel like you would go into reality TV again? How was that for you, especially with other artists?
Let me tell you something. It was nothing that I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
So I want you to think about recording artists, right? Let's just take recording artists straight away. Before reality television, we pretty much live our lives behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Until we get on stage, that is where we express everything. Our lyrics, anything that's dealing with our lives. Some of us are very expressive in our lyrics if we're songwriters.
Yeah.
Some of us just emote through song just because it is a form of therapy, right? So most of the time, everything that's going on in our lives is hidden. I was today years old when I found out that Aretha Franklin was possibly molested by her father and, was an alcoholic and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I saw Jennifer Hudson down to the TV doing the movie. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before Love's Got to Do It, it came out, I was that day years old until when I saw Ike and Tina and how mean and how terrible he was. And then people say it was even worse than that. You know what I'm saying? So as artists, we have lived behind a curtain successfully. We get to live because some of us are very shielded by a lot of other people that are working in our circle. Now, put a camera on that,
Yeah.
okay? It's a fool.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable. A fool in 4 halves. You feel it? Put a camera on that.
Yeah.
Now, take the other side of reality TV that's very successful. I take Joe Schmo off the street. I take this one over here off the street who's dying for attention anyway, and nobody even knows who they are, really knows their story that much. Put a camera on them.
Yeah.
Oh, I get to act a fool, and I don't even know I'm acting a fool because I'm just trying to get a coin.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make money. Artists, it's not necessarily, for us, it was about the money. Because the first season was nuts. It was like pennies. For us, it was about R&B, the genre of R&B music, getting a platform that was going to allow us all to get our music out at the masses.
Yeah.
We were thinking in our minds, we could be like, as popular as, we could take that popularity of a Basketball Wives or an Atlanta Housewives or a Housewives show or a franchise, and we could turn that into record sales.
Yes.
That's what we were thinking in our minds. We thought you would get, we thought we'd be able to give enough drama through just the everyday hustle and bustle of bands, road managing, being on the road, sound men, team acting a fool, the busyness of life, kids, husband, like just little things that go on as being an entertainer is already dramatic enough,
Yeah.
We didn't feel that, we didn't take into account that it was a strategy of production companies to bring out anxiety in us. Because that's what y'all did. You capitalized on anxiety, not understanding, and this is what I just thought of this. Somebody really trying to, this is what I just realized. You tried to capitalize on on the anxiety of a group of, first of all, black women who are at the lowest of the totem pole in the music business, and already traumatized behind what we've had to deal with men in this industry and the industry within itself. Man or woman, the industry is nuts, right? You took those people and then you capitalized on their pain.
Yeah.
So, of course, I never want to do that again. I remember having nightmares and being in a nightmare all the time simply because I was at odds. Somebody's very crazy. But it's looking like it's school. Hopefully it's not my school, not my kid's school. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do all the way in London. If they call me again, I'll take it. So I was legit having nightmares and things of that nature, and it was awful. Would I do an ensemble like that again? No. Not interested. Would I do a docu-series, a documentary? Would I be in something that's maybe just my family? Possibly, if it's a docu-series of some sort. Not interested in reality television unless it's documentary-based, fact-based, and not foolishness. It is actually awful, and what else it does is who's ever watching it, it's brain trash for us to watch it. Yeah. And then you get addicted, like, wait till she see it, wait till you see what she say, girl. And then you want somebody to cuss out. Now you're involved in the cuss out. Now you mad, and then now you see, and then the eyes are the windows to the soul. So then now you've ingested this energy, and somebody cheating. If somebody's cheating down to the TV, you're gonna become home looking at your man like this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I'm addicted to Married to Medicine at the moment.
Yeah. Quad and them, they have a time on that show, honey. That is a fool. I couldn't do. I've been to choke Toya. You see what I'm saying? And Toya could be a nice person in real life, but you don't know that because you don't even know if things are depicted a certain way to attain ratings. You don't know.
Absolutely.
And Quad was on Sister Circle for 3 years with me, and she got along with all her castmates. Yeah, they all got along. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that answer is no. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So any new music before we go coming up?
Yes, I do have the Legacy album that I'm working on, and that is an album that is an ode to my father.
Right.
I will be sampling every single song will be a sample of him. So it will be him and I in every single record, which for real music lovers and real hip hop heads and stuff like that, that's popping.
Yeah.
Everybody can't do that. My father was one of the most sampled artists of all time.
Right.
But everybody can't sample his music because I own the estate.
And that's what
So
it's about,
nobody can copy off of me because I'm gonna say no. Yeah, we're gonna say no. So
They're wrapping us up, but I could sit here and talk to you
All
forever,
day.
man.
know,
Yeah, all day. Thank you so much.
it's what I do. You know, I can sit and talk
Keep
to y'all.
empowering us, because your stuff's always empowering for us as women.
Well, that is the point, and
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy that you guys feel that way. And I was today years old when I found out that people are hitting bottles and stuff to hit on
banging
it.
on. Listen,
That is so fun. Y'all, they better do that at the Jazz
We
Cafe.
next have a video. Yeah.
We're going to see it. We're going to try to see if we can get to, because we'd love to cover the shows, so we'll see if we can get in.
Oh, that would be cool.
When you perform it, you'll see.
Yeah.
Wow.
You'll see. You'll see the reaction.
Well,
and
I
you'll
would say where it's
remember.
at in the show, but I can't tell. But it is in the show.
It's in the show. Good.
lovely.
So bottles and tops and stuff.
Yeah, we're going to get a reaction.
And if we
to that
go
show.
out and it plays and that happens, we're going to tag you in the video
Okay.
to show you. We'll tag
Please
you.
show me
We
because
will,
then I
we
can
will.
share it and be like, wow, look at this guy.
We went Abu Dhabi. They did it.
Yeah.
When we went, we did a party trip to Abu Dhabi and Dubai.
You
and
went to Dubai and hit on me and they was hitting the thing.
Yeah.
Y'all want to book me to go to the Dubai? Because we ready.
Stab the next step.
Because since it's ready to go down to the Dubai,
Well,
I will wear the, look here, I'll put on the mask and everything. We doing that anyway. Because of the COVID. So tell me what you want. I'm ready.
we will be in touch.
Yeah.
But they're wrapping us, so
Okay.
Lovely.
we will sit
Thank
here
you
and talk
so
to you
much.
forever. So we're going to go now.
Well, thank you ladies so much.
Thank you.
It was
And I actually-
amazing.